A visiting Zen student asked Ajahn Chah, I've read this quite often, you've heard it, but a visiting Zen student asked Ajahn Chah, how old are you? Do you live here all year round? Luangpor Chah's answer, I live nowhere. There is no place you can find me. I have no age. To have age, you must exist, and to think you exist is already a problem. Don't make problems, then the world has none either. Don't make a self. There's nothing more to say. That's a puzzle, isn't it? What the heck's he talking about? Well, if you replace I with awareness, let's say, if I identify as awareness, now, I'm not saying Rinpoche said that, but like these are kind of things. When you get something enigmatic and puzzling, then I like those things because I think it's coming from a master. He's not saying it just to crack a joke, and he's saying it to a Zen student who has a particular way of thinking about Buddhism or whatever. So then I look at that and I live nowhere. How about saying, if I changed I to awareness, awareness lives nowhere. He replied, there is no place you can find awareness. Awareness has no age. To have age, you must exist, and to think you exist is already a problem. Don't make problems. It's one way of thinking about it. But it certainly, your Buddhist frameworks of opinions and knowledge isn't going to answer that. So it's a kind of a different kind of a statement. How old are you? So you could say that I am Viradhammo and I am 78, and as you have learned on this retreat, I have bad knees, and so on and so forth. But what is it that knows that? That arises and ceases in awareness. You could say, I said that, and you say, wait, I said that, and then hold that. I said that. Can you find an I? There's certainly consciousness. There's something going on. But if I try to find an I, and you have to do this in silence. You can't be thinking, what's he thinking about? You have to be very silent. And then you attend to the moment. It's like this. And then the sense of I comes and goes with thought. Why did I do that yesterday? What am I going to do when I go back home? Maybe I'll run away from my family, or whatever you want to think, that the sense of personality arises and ceases. So you might ask, where did that question come from? I made the question. But then you get back, yeah. So the assumption that I am the mind and body is what anatta is challenging. That which has a nature to arise, has a nature to cease, is not who you are. It's not me, like the Anatta Lakkhana Sutta. This is not me, this is not mine, this is not who I am. What's that about? What's that about? But look how quickly we identify, my legs are really bad this morning, and God, life is a mess just now. Or I'm really happy, That is conventional truth. So to enter into this to enter into peace, you have to really attend to the sense of self and really notice it arising and ceasing. And as you notice it arising and ceasing as thought, you tend to be drawn to the silence. But mostly our attention is drawn by the sense of self, driven by thinking, worry, fear, doubt, blah, blah, blah. That's one way to look at it. The second one from Luangpor. People have asked me about my practice. How do I prepare my own mind for meditation? There's nothing special. I just keep it where it always is. They ask, are you then an arahat? Do I know? I am like a tree full of leaves, blossoms, and fruit. Birds come to eat and to nest. Yet the tree does not know itself. It follows its nature. It is as it is. So, like, I think the thing, do you do Mahasi or do you do rising, falling? I think that was the question. It was coming at him in that kind of a way. He wouldn't go there. So how could you look at that? Well, what if the tree is awareness? Or what if the tree is the background? And in the foreground are the fruits and birds coming and going. It might be a way of thinking about it. Anyway, I'm not going to give you an answer. Basically, I'm sharing my hobby. I don't really think of myself as a teacher because I don't teach in an academic ABC. I just say, well, let's think about this or think about that. But because you're all experienced, I find these enigmas quite fruitful to kind of go back. Well, what do I know, or how do I perceive this? Anyway, that's one. And I also enjoy trying to find literature from people I feel have realized something very profound. So one of the teachers that are very popular in the West, he died in about 1990, I think, Nisargadatta Maharaj, he is asked, he was from Bombay, I think he sold cigarettes, Beediwala, right? Something like that. And his guru said to him, you are the supreme, something like that. That's who you really are. So he goes off to the mountains for 3 years. Doesn't really talk about what happened, but he comes back and he seems to be enlightened. I tried it and it didn't work. I had to do more work. Anyway, so this is his when he's asked, so what happened? What was the change like? The main change was in the mind. It became motionless and silent, responding quickly, but not perpetuating the response. Spontaneity became a way of life. The real became natural, and the natural became real. And above all, infinite affection, love, dark and quiet, radiating in all directions, embracing all, making all interesting and beautiful, significant and auspicious. Wow, I like that. That's like whatever he's realized, I want some of that. So it's like his sense of awareness is love. So above all, infinite affection. Infinite affection means whatever comes up, there is an affection for pain, for disagreement, for air pollution, for infinite affection. What could that mean? That's the way I function when I see something like that. I look at that rather than say, well, good for you, mate. I'm still struggling with my bad knees. But then I take those words, and above all, infinite affection for coffee, love, dark and quiet, radiating in all directions, embracing all, making all interesting and beautiful, significant and auspicious. So sometimes I'll take a piece like that, just memorize it, repeat it, and let's see what it does to my mind. It's not like an intellectual position. It's a kind of a suggestion, isn't it, of how we can be. The main change was in the mind. It became motionless and silent. And I think that's easy to relate to, whether one can come to that, responding quickly, but not perpetuating the response. So perpetuating the response, what does that mean? Well, you go to an interview with the monk, And beforehand, you rehearse. What'll I say? What'll I say? What'll I say? What'll I say? You have your list. Then you talk with a monk. And then afterward you say, shouldn't have said it, shouldn't have said it, should have said something else. And that's perpetuating the response. Memory, should have this. And one of the ways that like Zen practitioners talk about, you burn everything up in the moment of response. And to me, response is different than reaction. I don't know if you know in the nuance in Thai, but reaction is something that is, let's say it's not mindful. It's just, you say something to me and I react, no, something like that. Whereas response is, to me, coming somehow from the Brahma Viharas, because I think the Brahma Viharas are, when the heart is open, there's a response from that place. And I think all of us have seen that when you do respond from an open heart, usually you don't get that perpetuation of memory. I should have said this, I should have said that. Somehow, for me, that response from here is in line with the context of the situation. I mean, that's not an absolute statement, but whereas when I'm just reacting from my own irritations or prejudices or biases, then it kind of spins on. Spontaneity became a way of life. The real became natural, and natural became spontaneity. Is not impulsivity. Again, English. Impulsive would be that, I'd like to see if this can break. Bang. That wasn't a good idea. Kind of just impulsively doing something. Whereas spontaneity is a response to the situation, not preordained, not thought about, but appropriate to time and place. A sort of sense of really this life is only in the present moment. That's the way I take that. I don't know how you take it. Spontaneity became a way of life. The real became natural, and the natural became real. So, what is natural is the way things are. What is papancha is the way I judge them, I analyze them in all kinds of different ways. And above all, and this is the piece that really inspires me, above all, infinite affection, love, dark and quiet, radiating in all directions, embracing all, making all interesting and beautiful, significant and auspicious. I must admit, I felt that with Luangpor Cha. There is something kind of radiantly all-embracing about him. Anyway, how about I don't know if that, as a meditation, would be all right if I read Tilopa Song to Naropa? Sometimes Dutiyampi helps. Tatyampi is even better. So let's do a meditation. I'll read that poem again. Again, if you find it confusing or you don't like it, it feels like this. Don't blame me, please. I got to do something. You feed me so well, I have to. So sit in meditation. As a meditation, would be all right if I read Tilopa Song to Naropa? Sometimes Dutiyampi helps. Tatyampi is even better. So let's do a meditation. I'll read that poem again. Again, if you find it confusing or you don't like it, it feels like this. Don't blame me, please. I got to do something. You feed me so well, I have to. So sit in meditation. Remember, Mahamudra you could translate as awareness. Tilopa song to Naropa. Mahamudra, the royal way, is free from every word and sacred symbol. For you alone, beloved Naropa, this wonderful song springs forth from Tilopa as spontaneous friendship that never ends. The completely open nature of all dimensions and events is a rainbow, always occurring yet never grasped. The way of Mahamudra creates no closure. No strenuous mental effort can encounter this wide open way. The effortless freedom of awareness moves naturally along it. As space is always freshly appearing and never filled, so the mind is without limits and ever aware. Gazing with sheer awareness into sheer awareness, habitual abstract structures melt into the fruitful springtime of Buddhahood. White clouds that drift through blue sky, changing shape constantly, have no root, no foundation, no dwelling, nor do changing patterns of thought that float through the sky of mind. When the formless expanse of awareness comes clearly into view, obsession with thought forms ceases easily and naturally. As within the openness of universal space, shapes and colors are spontaneously forming, although space has no color or form, so within the expanse of awareness, realms, relations, and values are arising, although awareness possesses no positive or negative characteristics. As the darkness of night, even were it to last 1,000 years, could not conceal the rising sun, so countless ages of conflict and suffering cannot conceal the innate radiance of mind. Although philosophers explain the transparent openness of appearances as empty of permanent characteristics and completely indeterminable, this universal indeterminacy can itself never be determined. Although sages report the nature of awareness to be luminosity, this limitless radiance cannot be contained within any language or sacramental system. Although the very essence of mind is to be void of either subjects or objects, it tenderly embraces all life within its womb. To realize this inexpressible truth, do not manipulate mind or body, but simply open into transparency with relaxed, natural grace, intellect at ease in silence, limbs at rest in stillness, like hollow bamboos. Neither breathing in nor breathing out, with a breath of habitual thinking, allow the mind to be at peace in brilliant wakefulness. This is the royal wealth of Mahamudra, no common coin of any realm. Beloved Naropa, this treasure of Buddhahood belongs to you and to all beings. Obsessive use of meditative disciplines or perennial study of scripture and philosophy will never bring forth this wonderful realization, this truth, which is natural to awareness, because the mind that desperately desires to reach another realm or level of experience inadvertently ignores the basic light that constitutes all experience. The one who fabricates any division in consciousness betrays the friendship of Mahamudra. Cease all activity that separates, abandon even the desire to be free from desires, and allow the thinking process to rise and fall smoothly as waves on a shoreless ocean. The one who never dwells in abstraction and whose only principle is never to divide or separate, upholds the trust of Mahamudra. The one who abandons craving for authority and definition and never becomes one-sided in argument or understanding, alone perceives the authentic meaning hidden in the ancient scriptures. In the blissful embrace of Mahamudra, negative viewpoints and their instincts are burned without remainder like camphor. Through the open door of Mahamudra, the deluded state of self-imprisonment is easily left behind forever. Mahamudra is the torch of supreme liberty, shining forth through all conscious beings. Those beings constituted by awareness, who try to ignore, reject, or grasp awareness, inflict sorrow and confusion upon themselves, like those who are insane. To be awakened from this madness, cultivate the gracious friendship of a sublime sage of Mahamudra, who may appear to the world as mad. When the limited mind enters blessed companionship with limitless mind, indescribable freedom dawns. Selfish or limited motivations create the illusory sense of imprisonment and scatter seeds of further delusion. Even genuine religious teaching can generate narrowness of vision. Trust only the approach that is utterly vast and profound. The noble way of Mahamudra never engages in the drama of imprisonment and release. The sage of Mahamudra has absolutely no distractions because no war against distractions has ever been declared. This nobility and gentleness alone, this non-violence of thought and action, is the traceless path of all Buddhas. To walk this all-embracing way is the bliss of Buddhahood. Phenomena on every plane of being are constantly arising and disappearing. Thus they are forever fresh, always new, and inexhaustible. Like dreams without solid substance, they can never become rigid or binding. The universe exists in a deep, elusive way that can never be grasped or frozen. Why feel obsessive desire or hatred for it, thereby creating illusory bonds? Renounce arbitrary, habitual views. Go forth courageously to meditate in the real mountain of wilderness, the wide-open Mahamudra. Transcend boundaries of kinship by embracing all living beings as one family of consciousness. Remain without any compulsion in the landscape and natural freedom, spontaneous, generous, joyful. When you receive the crown of Mahamudra, all sense of rank or attainment will quietly disappear. Cut the root of the vine that chokes the tree, and its clinging tendrils wither away entirely. Sever the conventionally grasping mind, and all bondage and desperation dissolve. The illumination from an oil lamp lights the room instantly, even if it has been dark for eons. Mind is boundless radiance. How can the slightest darkness remain in the room of daily perception? But one who clings to mental processes cannot awaken to the radiance of mind. Strenuously seeking truth by investigation and concentration, one will never appreciate the unthinkable simplicity and bliss that abide at the core. To uncover this fertile ground, cut through the roots of complexity with the sharp gaze of naked awareness, remaining entirely at peace, transparent, and content. You need not expend great effort, nor store up extensive spiritual power. Remain in the flow of sheer awareness. Mahamudra neither accepts nor rejects any current of energy, internal or external. Since the ground consciousness is never born into any realm of being, nothing can add to or subtract from it. Nothing can obstruct or stain it. When awareness rests here, the appearance of division and conflict disappears into original reality. The twin emotions of anxiety and arrogance vanish into the void from which they came. Supreme knowing knows no separate subject or object. Supreme action acts resourcefully, without any array of instruments. Supreme attainment attains the goal without past, future, or present. The dedicated practitioner experiences the spiritual way as a turbulent mountain stream, tumbling dangerously among boulders. When maturity is reached, the river flows smoothly and patiently with the powerful sweep of the Ganges. Emptying into the ocean of Mahamudra, the water becomes ever-expanding light that pours into great clear light, without direction, destination, division, distinction, or description.